This episode is brought to you by the MJ family of companies. Whatever interests you in the cannabis community can be found at mj.com. Unique and original content updating you on the latest trends in marijuana legalization, businesses and executives that are disrupting the industry, along with recreational entertainment and the latest deals on the brands and products you love. Visit mj.com today. Welcome to the Pot Live Podcast. I'm your host, Lenny G, and I can't believe it. We've already broken through 100 episodes. We want to thank you, the listeners, thousands of you that have sent beautiful comments, beautiful notes to us. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoy it. This next year, we're going to bring you the thought leaders, entertainers, trailblazers, CEOs of all the cannabis companies you want to hear from. People that are inventing new products, people that are bringing this cannabis industry to the mainstream. We are going to offer you education, value, and entertainment. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show. And we are back on the Pot Live Podcast. I'm your host, Lenny G, and today our special guest is Mr. Max Koby. He is the founding partner and chief executive officer of Abstrax. They are pioneering terpene-driven sensorial experiences that shape the industry, unlocking the power of the plant with research and development. We're going to find out what that means. Max, welcome to the show.
Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. So let's give the listeners a little feel of who Max Koby is. What's your background? Go ahead.
I'm a cannabis advocate, serial entrepreneur for the last 18 years. I've lived in the world of startups. I started off my path with a heart attack at the young age of 18. Wow. Was motivated by mortality, and cannabis was the one thing that helped me overcome my health ailments. And it was a great excuse at the time to continue smoking pot, but it's been a important part of my life to help me manage my fun, my activities, but also some of my health and stress. So ever since then, I've been a big advocate for the plant beyond just my thirst for developing business and empowering the community. And this industry and point in time has really provided us the opportunity at Abstrax to come back and really contribute to the cause, empower the community through education, and focus on terpenes.
Well, I'm sorry to hear you went through that, but I'm happy to hear that you're doing great now and you look great, and glad to have you aboard here. So let's educate the listeners. What are terpenes?
It's a great question. So terpenes are in every plant, actually a lot of animals that surround us. And so most people, when I mention terpenes, they immediately think about cannabis. And, that's the first misnomer is terpenes are in everything. It's what gives plants their wonderful fragrances, aromas. It's what makes you feel uplifted and gives you that positive vibe when you're walking through the forest, enjoying that nice walk through the pine trees. And when I'm explaining cannabis to consumers specifically, I try to really break it down into two things. You have two major components or classes of compounds in there to oversimplify it. One is cannabinoids. If that was your THC, that'd be your gas pedal. And the other one is your terpenes, which would act like your steering wheel that modulates the effects of the cannabinoids. And there's a reason why when you consume some cannabis, you feel uplifted. One of those iconic strains might be like a Jack Herer that's associated to a sativa blend. And then on the opposite end of the spectrum, there's the OG varietals like what Josh D is putting out there that are very high in myrcene, very sedative, very calming strains, and would be most closely associated to an indica. But one important fact for everybody to know out there is that a lot of the same terpenes in cannabis exist in other things. And that's why hops and cannabis are the most closest related cousins. That's why a lot of those beers out there do have some skunky notes to them. And so the things that make cannabis unique also exist in other plants. It just so happens that cannabis is the most abundant source of these valuable compounds, more abundant than any other plant in the plant kingdom. And what we're finding is that terpenes act as functional flavorings and aromas. And so they end up being an excellent replacement for traditional natural and artificial flavors that are used in products that we're consuming in every day of our lives.
I think that was the best explanation of terpenes we've had on the show. So thank you for that. So what happens at Abstrax? Does a company come to you? Do people that are doing their own thing come to you? What's the process for a client that works with Abstrax?
We exist to research and do exploration of cannabis aroma compounds and terpene discoveries so that we can empower brands to develop product formulations for consumers to enjoy. So we definitely work with manufacturers, we work with brands, we work with CPG companies out there so that consumers have products that they can enjoy with consistency. I tell brands that there's really only two things that consumers care about in the cannabis industry when they walk into that dispensary or they pull up that menu for delivery service. Number one is, how safe is this product for me to consume? And number two is, how is this product going to make me feel? And I fundamentally believe in this industry, because we are selling a drug experience, it's even more important for us to build consumer trust. And the only way that brands in the cannabis industry build consumer trust is by offering the consumer a consistent, repeatable, predictable, and targeted product experience. And unfortunately, because of the nature of cannabis, it can be very inconsistent, variable. There's a lack of quality standards out there. So unless you can prove to a consumer that you are creating consistency in your product formulations, it will be challenging to achieve that consumer trust that comes with that repeatable experience. And there's a reason why, people like my father love and hate cannabis and hardly ever use it. One time they have a great experience, the next 3 times they have a weird experience and they think they're consuming the same thing. And so it just comes with education, quality testing, and standardization.
Is there a difference in I don't know if the right word is potency of a terpene with the way you consume cannabis? Is it, is vaping different than flower or edibles? Is that a factor?
Yeah, it definitely is a factor. I mean, if you look at flower profiles, we just recently did a white paper that was actually published in High Times magazine in the most recent August edition. And we compared the analysis of a flower, and then we extracted that flower using a solventless extraction process and a hydrocarbon extraction process. And those products would be referred to as live resin and live rosin products. And the question keeps coming up is, what is the difference between these products, right? Is it that live rosin is truly a higher quality product or delivers a better experience? Or is it just good in and good out, being more selective with how you make your materials? And at the end of the day, the answer is such that different products have different profiles. So a flower profile may only have 3 to 4% terpenes in it, whereas a much lower percentage of THC, whereas a vape pen or a live resin product is going to have anywhere from a 10 to 14% total aroma percentage, including terpenes, a much higher cannabinoid profile because it is a concentrate by definition. And so there are different consumption methods depending on the user and what they're looking for. I will say, after comparing as granular as the differences in the 300 to 400 compounds of live resin versus rosin, really the only difference was that certain compounds are more targeted in those profiles. So there's more limonene and citrus notes in the resin profile, whereas there's more myrcene and woodier notes in the rosin profile, and would explain why when someone consumes one product, they feel more uplifted and it tastes more citrusy, whereas they consume the other product, they may feel a little calmer and get a little different flavor profile. So it really comes down to the consumer and the education.
I also want to back up we have a segment of our audience that are entrepreneurs. And I know that you had successful businesses in the past in a traditional industry, I believe pool construction, you were very successful in, and now you're in the cannabis industry. Can you just describe for our entrepreneurs out there that have existing businesses, or maybe you're trying to start something up, what's been the difference in your journey of a traditional business and in a business that's not federally legal and every town and municipality has their own rules?
Yeesh. Yeah, I once met up with this gentleman who runs one of the largest cannabis companies in the world. And, he got his master's and was a professor of business school at a university in California. And I asked him the same question. And he said it's been the biggest challenge of his life. I, by no means, have a master's or a PhD. I've been a serial entrepreneur, and I've been through university, self-employed, school of hard knocks. I did get a business degree. And I would just say you underestimate everything in running a business once you come to cannabis. You never question a banking relationship or credit card processing or regulations in any other industry because it's very black and white. You come into the cannabis industry, you have to question absolutely everything. And just know that the industry is still emerging. And so there's lots of challenges for the trailblazers out there with the regulations constantly changing. If you pick a specific state or municipality to do business with, it becomes easier if you can understand their pathway. That doesn't mean that they're not going to change it in a year from now. And for us, especially because we're dealing in every state in over 33 countries, we have to be aware we're dealing on food regulation side and cannabis regulation side. It's even more important for us to have an entire regulatory and QC team just to keep up with all the changes that are happening. So personally, it would be a blessing if federal legalization came in and helped provide guidance to states to implement better regulations, safer quality standards. The reality is that it's still the Wild West, and I think there's a lot of good that can come from this industry. And the optimism that I share with other founders and entrepreneurs in the industry is this thirst for innovation. And I'd say the one thing that I've seen from the cannabis industry is this desire to research and innovate. I made a comment one time that, the cannabis industry, we're blazing, it's blue oceans. If the readers are familiar with blue oceans and red oceans, if not, recommend they look it up. But the response I got from one of the CEOs in the industry from a publicly traded company was, yeah, the entire cannabis industry is blue oceans. So you really got to pick your lane, stick with it. There's a lot of shiny objects in the industry, a lot of distractions, but at the end of the day, it can be like the craft beer industry that had the lowest failure rates if more people cooperate, help each other, to empower the community, to support each other for the betterment of the community, and to really help create some quality products that help deliver safe cannabis to consumers. So
I can second all of that. As an investor in multiple cannabis platforms and investment vehicles, I've seen the delays happen. I've seen the change of course and having to basically adapt to new rules almost every day. You get a business plan going, then all of a sudden the rules change and you have to divert. And it's very difficult without federal legalization. So
don't plan further than 3 years.
Yeah, even that's pretty long. But yeah, you're right.
Some people refer to this, 1 week is like 1 year in a traditional business, and it truly is. The feeling is real. I mean, we feel like we're traveling at light speed every day.
Yeah, I hear that for sure. So where can people find out more about your company, whether online, on social media, or get in touch with your team?
Definitely visit abstraxtech.com, abstraxtech.com, or you can visit our cannabis arm at bestcannabisterpenes.com. Check out some of the analytics that we've developed and some of the cannabis-derived ingredients available in California. Again, Abstrax specializes in cannabis research, product development, terpene-based product formulations for the entire cannabis industry, and beyond. So we can really help everybody to develop a product formulation for their beverage, terpene vape blend, or anything else in between.
Excellent. All right. Before we let you go, Max, give us something that concerns you about the cannabis industry overall and something that excites you.
Probably D8. D8 is an emerging trend in the cannabis industry. There's a lot of investors out there.
And that's Delta 8 for everybody out there.
Delta 8, right? There's a lot.
I think everybody sees the social media ads flying through their scroll. They see ads.
Yeah, that's the hot ingredient of the hour right now, right? So in one respects, it may be saving the CBD industry. It's definitely creating awareness for the products out there. It's being distributed in mainstream distribution, so it's giving everybody a taste for what federal legalization could bring, which is exciting. Concerning mainly because there's, again, a lack of safety, testing, regulation, and education for the consumers. So double-edged sword there, but keep your eyes out, and hopefully that pushes the government to come out with some federal guidelines and regulations that help the community.
Let me ask you, because as someone who hasn't tried Delta 8, one of the brands that I interviewed actually sent me a whole sample package of it, and I haven't tried it yet. Should I not try it, or should I try it?
I mean, I personally try it when we're doing taste testings, but I'm also a professional guinea pig when it comes to taste testing. So I can't recommend it one way or the other. I mean, it's been described as the cannabis light. Personally, I smoke it. I don't, to me, I have a high tolerance. So, maybe it's great for the smoker that wants to smoke more and still have, control over everything and has a mild mood state that they're looking for. I haven't done the safety testing to tell you which way or the other. So, but I personally use it. So if that says anything.
Excellent. So Max Koby.
And I've heard that it works better in edibles. I've heard that it works.
Oh, really? They sent those actually, and I haven't tried them yet. That's why I was asking.
Heard edibles are good.
Delta 8 virgin. Yeah.
Yeah. I enjoy the vape. I mean, look, I enjoy it, so I can't be a hypocrite over here.
Excellent. Well, Max Koby, CEO and founding partner of Abstrax, thank you so much for being our guest today. And everyone, check out all the show notes. You'll be able to reach the team. Check out the websites that he described. Thank you, Max.
Yeah, thank you. I enjoyed the show. Appreciate you having me on here.
Excellent. And we'll see everyone next time on the Pot Live Podcast. If you are into the recreational side of the cannabis industry, yes, stoners, I'm talking to you, then thepot.com is the online and mobile destination for you. That's right, THEPOT.com, thepot.com. Where else can you find the exclusive Pot Mate of the Month? Take a pot quiz and win prizes. Scroll through hilarious memes and jokes and check out the latest podcasts, news, and trends, all while having your own profile and voice in the pot.com forum. Visit thepot.com today and get lit.